They once called it the final frontier, the digital realm. But for a select few, it wasn't a frontier to be settled. It was a foundation to be rebuilt. They saw the towering skyscrapers of finance, the centuries-old institutions built on trust, and asked a simple yet revolutionary question. What if trust didn't need a middleman? This is not just a story about code or cryptocurrency. It's the story of how a group of digital architects began constructing a new financial world, piece by piece, right under our noses, challenging the very definition of money itself. Prepare to see the world of finance as you've never seen it before. In the beginning, there was just code, an elegant, self-executing script known as a smart contract. To the outside world, it was jargon, a niche interest for tech enthusiasts. But to the architects of this new era, it was the first brick. They saw a world where agreements didn't need lawyers, where transactions didn't need banks, where the rules were transparent and unbreakable, written into the very fabric of the network. They envisioned a system that was open to anyone, anywhere, with just an internet connection. This wasn't just about creating a new currency, it was about building an entirely new economic operating system. They called it decentralized finance, or DeFi, and it was about to ignite a firestorm. The old guard, the titans of traditional finance, initially dismissed it. From their gilded towers, they saw only digital noise, a fleeting fad. Their world was one of handshakes, legacy systems, and regulations carved in stone over generations. Their power was absolute, their control unquestioned. They managed the flow of capital, they set the interest rates, they decided who got access to wealth and who didn't. This system had worked for centuries, creating immense prosperity, but also immense barriers. It was a walled garden, and they were the gatekeepers. When whispers of DeFi grew louder, from a curiosity to a buzz, they scoffed. How could a leaderless, borderless network of computers possibly challenge an empire built on centuries of accumulated power and trust? They couldn't see the storm gathering on the digital horizon. They were about to learn that in the 21st century, the most disruptive force isn't an army or a corporation, but an idea whose time has come. So what exactly was this new system they were building? Let's zoom in. The architects started with the most fundamental pillar of finance, lending and borrowing. In the old world, you'd go to a bank, you'd fill out forms, prove your identity, and wait for a committee to approve your loan. The bank would take a hefty cut for its service. In the DeFi world, they created something called a lending protocol. It was essentially a digital pool of assets, governed by a smart contract. Anyone could deposit their crypto assets into this pool and instantly start earning interest. On the other side, anyone could borrow from that same pool, using their own crypto as collateral without ever speaking to a human. The rates were set by an algorithm based purely on supply and demand. It was fast, transparent, and open 24/7. No gatekeepers, no paperwork, no bias. This single innovation was a direct assault on one of the core profit centers of traditional banking. But they didn't stop there. Next, they tackled exchanges. Traditionally, trading assets meant going through a centralized exchange, a company that held your funds and matched buyers with sellers, taking a fee for every trade. The DeFi architects created a new model, the automated market maker, or AMM. Instead of an order book, these decentralized exchanges used liquidity pools, those same pools of assets we saw in lending. Users could swap one token for another directly from the pool, with the price determined by a mathematical formula. Anyone could contribute to a liquidity pool and earn a share of the trading fees, effectively becoming a part of the exchange themselves. Suddenly, the power to create markets was no longer in the hands of a few corporations. It was distributed among thousands of individuals across the globe. They were systematically deconstructing the financial system, one function at a time, and rebuilding it on a foundation of code. Then came the revelation, the moment the world began to truly understand the scale of this new paradigm. It wasn't a single event, but a cascade. It began with the concept of yield farming, where users would strategically move their assets between different DeFi protocols to maximize their returns. It felt like a high-stakes digital treasure hunt, and it attracted a wave of pioneers and speculators. The total value locked in DeFi protocols began to skyrocket, from millions to billions, then tens of billions, in a breathtakingly short span of time. Traditional finance could no longer ignore it. They saw capital, their lifeblood, flowing out of their controlled gardens and into this wild, open ecosystem. They saw their customers, once captive, now had an alternative. The game was changing. The core idea of composability was the true magic. Each DeFi protocol was like a Lego brick. Because they were all built on the same open blockchain, they could be snapped together in endless combinations. A loan from one protocol could be used as collateral in another, which could then be used to provide liquidity in a third, creating complex financial strategies that were simply impossible in the siloed world of traditional banking. This wasn't just a collection of apps. It was a living, breathing financial organism, evolving at lightning speed. The old guard was forced to adapt. They had two choices: fight it or join it. Some tried to fight, calling for stricter regulations and warning of the risks involved in this new, unregulated space. And the risks were real. Bugs in code, volatile assets, and sophisticated hacks were a constant threat. But others, the more forward-thinking institutions, saw the writing on the wall. They began to explore the technology themselves. They started creating their own private blockchains, experimenting with tokenizing real-world assets like real estate and stocks, and even investing directly into DeFi projects. The line between the old world and the new began to blur. The architects of DeFi hadn't destroyed the old system, they had forced it to evolve. They had introduced a competitive pressure that was now pushing the entire financial industry towards more transparency, greater efficiency, and broader access. The revolution wasn't a violent overthrow, it was a catalyst for transformation. The walled garden was being forced to lower its walls, not by force, but by the undeniable pull of a better, more open alternative. And so, we stand here today, at the dawn of a new financial age. The battle between centralized and decentralized finance is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. The questions that linger are profound. What happens when every asset, from your house to a piece of art to a share in a company, becomes a programmable token on a global network? What does a world look like where your financial identity isn't tied to a bank, but to a digital wallet that you alone control? The architects who started with a simple line of code have unlocked a future filled with both incredible promise and unprecedented challenges. They have challenged the very nature of trust and value. And in doing so, they have given us a glimpse of a financial system that is truly for everyone. The blueprint has been laid. What we build upon it is up to us. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of decentralized finance. If you found this exploration as fascinating as we did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the technologies shaping our future. What part of DeFi excites or concerns you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.